And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this terrific spring-like Tuesday, February 17th. It sure doesn't feel like it, with temperatures outside across the area in the 40s. And we're going to come close to 50 in the FM area. Unbelievable. While it stays in the upper 30s to low 40s in the Northern Valley. But there is a major winter storm that is going to be approaching the area and starting to affect us tonight into tomorrow. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel, and good Tuesday afternoon, Bridgette. On the road again. Where are you at today, Bridgette?
46 degrees here in Jamestown. The wind has certainly started to come up, and we're starting to see a little bit of overcast sky. But in general, it's been a pretty nice day overall, especially if I can say 46 degrees towards the end of February. I will find that very comparable when I'm in San Antonio next week for Commodity Classic to see who's warmer, us or Texas.
Well, by next week, they will be, for sure, with no doubt about it. But like I said earlier, we do have a pretty major storm system moving our way. And initially, it's going to give us rain. In fact, we're going to see rain showers overspread the area from the south as that area of low pressure rides out of the Rockies. First, we're on the warm side of it, and rain showers start developing after about 5 p.m., and they'll spread northward throughout the evening hours. So everybody is going to have rain during the evening hours through about the midnight hour. And then enough cold air gets pushed into this system to our north where that rain will mix with and change to snow along and north of the Highway 2 corridor from about midnight to 1 a.m. That's when the changeover will start to our north. And that rain snow line will slowly sink south throughout the night to where we will see that rain change over to snow in and around the FM area, probably 5, 6 in the morning, and then become all snow as we head throughout the day. And we will see pockets of heavy snow along with this as well. Now, the morning commute tomorrow is going to be a mess in the Northern Valley into northwest Minnesota. Those areas will already have snow, wind, blowing snow. It's going to be a mess up north. Our morning commute in the FM area and points to the west, it's going to be maybe a little slushy in the morning, but it shouldn't be too bad. But as we head into the afternoon and your evening rush, conditions will deteriorate rapidly. Now, areas to our north, again, generally north of, we'll say Highway 200, could see near blizzard conditions tomorrow, late morning into the afternoon. I don't think we'll experience the conditions quite that bad here in the FM area, but again, we will see pockets of heavier snow, and it's going to initially start off as that wet, heavy snow, that heart attack snow to shovel, and then become a little more lighter in consistency as we head throughout the day. One thing we know for sure on this storm, so this is a slam dunk, is the areas along that Highway 2 corridor and northward, they're under a severe thunderstorm. They're under a winter storm warning throughout this storm. And those areas are going to pick up 6 to 12 inches of snow along with high winds. So again, travel from Minot, Devil's Lake, all the way through Grand Forks, through, let's say, Thief River, Bemidji. Travel tomorrow is not going to be recommended. We'll have near blizzard conditions. The 94 corridor from Jamestown all the way through the FM area, we're right on that dividing line where this forecast could go either way in terms of if this storm system wraps in too much warm air, then we're not going to see much snow at all. But what we've been watching from last night's computer model runs through this morning's is the area of low pressure is trending a little further south, only by about 20 to 40 miles, but that makes a huge difference in the forecast. If the trend continues through this afternoon and into tonight with tonight's computer model runs, if that trend continues to hold this storm just a little further south, that would put the FM area in a heavier snow band. Right now, it looks like about 2 to 6 inches expected along that 94 corridor from Jamestown through about Fargo. You go just north, again, that Highway 200 corridor, we're looking at about 4 to 7 inches. And you get along that Highway 2 corridor and northward, we're looking at, again, about 6 to 12. There could be pockets of 14 inches of snow as well. So the further north you go, the more snow you're going to get. That's a for sure. but that 94 corridor right on that fence line between, how quickly we change over to snow. If we wake up tomorrow here in the FM area and we've got snow on the ground, this forecast is going to be, we're going to have a lot more snow than forecasted here for the FM area. I'm not anticipating that. Again, I'm still anticipating about 2 to 6 here in the FM area, 6 to 12 up north. And again, there will be pockets of 12 to 14 inches. So keep that in mind. If you have any travel plans north of the FM area for Wednesday, you'll want to alter your plans. Wait till Thursday or Friday. This is going to extend, the snowfall is going to extend through Wednesday night. Now, it will lighten up a little bit as we head towards Wednesday evening into the overnight hours with the heaviest snow in the FM area falling between about 7, 8 a.m. through about 3 in the afternoon. After that, we'll see just pockets of snow showers, which will add up, but the majority of the accumulating snow between about 7 a.m. tomorrow and about 3, 4 in the afternoon. So, your evening commute tomorrow, area-wide, is going to be a mess. So, if you don't have to travel on Wednesday, probably a good thing to hold it off until Thursday or Friday.
If possible, turn some of those appointments over into Zoom calls if you can. Sometimes you just have to be in certain places, but just slow down. This is not our first go around, especially even this winter. And our weather today is brought to us by Progressive Ag Risk Management Specialists. For all of you who have specific questions about the weather, and certainly tomorrow, if you have the opportunity to call us with road conditions, you can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. We appreciate those phone calls, and thank you so much for joining us whenever you do use the JLA Crop Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. Many of you are watching, and that's going to give you the opportunity to keep an eye on guests and graphics and all the things that we do here. That live stream is brought to you by Lighthouse Commodities. And you can watch us on Acres TV, Facebook, or YouTube. If you're shy and you just want to email something, you certainly can. Our inboxes are powered by Superior Grain Equipment because they make sure that your farm's future is superior with grain storage, drying, and handling solutions. You can email Dean Dean is weather@flagfamily.com. I'm ag@flagfamily.com. Well, it's a week of events for agriculture all across the region. Today, Jamestown, that's where Farmers Union is hosting their Evolution seminar. They've been talking about food to fork and all the steps along the way and what we are doing here in North Dakota, not only as processors, but providers. And we're going to wrap up. Once I'm finished with this show, I'm going to head back in and get a chance to listen to Leslie Kelly. She's known on social media as High Heels and Canola Fields, and she brings a message of positivity and great insight into mental health awareness. She's part of the Do More Ag Foundation in Canada. She is a farmer from Saskatchewan. Then today and tomorrow, for those who can attend, will be the International Crop Expo. That'll be in Grand Forks at the Alaris. Now, depending on weather conditions, I'd hope to stop by, but if it's terrible, nope, sorry guys, not going to make it in there. But I will do my best. And I had an opportunity from the folks at Park River Implement to use some of their equipment as my radio booth if I get up there tomorrow. And then Thursday will be the Cattlemen's Educational Seminar in Brookings, South Dakota. That's being put on at SDSU. If you have an interest in feedlot feeding and bigger questions, especially being able to talk directly with some livestock researchers down there at SDSU, that runs from 9 to 3 at Brookings. That is just a few of the things that are going on. We have a guest joining us today. That is Jeff Irwin. Jeff was recently in Nashville for the Top Producer Conference, and that is put on by Farm Journal Magazine and Media. Well, Jeff was there to be part of a panel talking about farmer mental health, and many of you remember Jeff has joined us before. We'll refresh you on his family story and what he saw and heard while he was at Top Producer. Ties in nicely, as I said, with the speaker I'm about to go hear from as well. Again, that's Leslie Kelly from Saskatchewan. One headline before we take a moment to get to the American Livestock Network's, the American Ag Network's livestock report. We're talking about beef animals so often. Well, when you feed bales of hay to animals or you use straw for bedding, whether it's for beef, dairy, sheep, and goats, etc., they all come wrapped in twine. And many of us are familiar with, in the past we always used a sessile twine. Now you'll see more of that orange twine out there that's a plasticized material that's used to hold the bales together. Well, now North Dakota Soybean Council is working on some research to use the soybean hulls, also soy meal and other additives for new twine material. It not only is more digestible for the animals, because there are times that veterinarians will tell you they find balls of undigested twine in the bellies of animals, and that's not healthy. But this is a digestible twine. Also, it has the same tensile strength of the other twines that we're using to make the bales, and it has a UV resistance. So when those bales are out in the sunshine, the twine doesn't break down and then the bales get loose and fall apart. So more research being done, but this sounds like a fabulous way to take a byproduct of the soy processing um, facilities and be able to use it in a better, more productive way. Could add some value and maybe some dollars and cents to the bottom line for some soybean farmers. Well, we're going to talk about headlines and more when we return from the livestock market report, and we'll visit with our guest, Jeff Irwin. Well, if you've noticed a routine around here, there really is one. On Fridays, we have Greg Hansen join us with Hansen Agri Commodities for Market Uncovered. If you have some questions that are going on, like, I got corn sitting in the bin, what should I be doing with it? Send those on over. We'll get Greg's expert opinion on Fridays at 1:20. And then on Mondays, the first Monday of every month, we're joined by Blake Sunday. He's with Landmark Companies, and they are our drainage experts. There's some early order discounts that are going on. You might want to go check out landmarkteams.com to check out what those discounts might be when it comes to precision drainage and proven results. Our guest today is Jeff Irwin, and Jeff works with a machinery company here in the region. He's a longtime farm kid like myself. And Jeff, would you just care to reintroduce yourself to listeners today? Because it's been a little while since you were on with us.
Sure. Well, first, thank you for having me on. And I grew up around the, I guess, Northern Valley, Forest River, if anybody knows where that is, up in the Northern Red River Valley, and grew up on a farm and worked, did not farm, and that's a whole long story, but wanted to stay close to ag, and so I ended up working in high school at the John Deere dealership up there. And now, almost 50 years later, I'm still with John Deere with an ag, related, in the ag-related industry and the equipment business. And so that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's right. That's in a nutshell. And you've never lost the love of farming, whether it's, doing it as a kid growing up and now being able to be a part of equipment, etc. So thanks for always wanting to just have that enthusiasm and bring your story to the rest of us in agriculture. We appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you.
You bet.
So the backstory is I got a call from a friend at Farm Journal, and they were planning the top producer event that took place last week in Nashville. And she was asking for folks who could possibly be on a panel when it comes to talking about mental health. Well, I thought of a couple of people, and one of the first ones was Jeff. So, Jeff, can you describe what top producer is like? I've not yet been to that conference, but from what I saw last week, it was pretty good.
Yeah, this was my first time, obviously, and I, thank you for connecting me. It was very enlightening, and I got to connect with a number of people. Obviously, the panel, the topic, isn't the most uplifting necessarily, but it's important and it's urgent right now. I didn't sit on all the sessions. It was, 3 days. But some of the sessions that I did sit in on were, how do I describe it? They were somewhat uplifting. There's hope. There's always hope. There's always hope. We're in somewhat of a paradigm shift is what I really took out of it, for ag.
Yeah.
Us being at one time maybe the lowest cost producers, and now more on the high side when you compare to Brazil and some of the other countries. Talking to my brother-in-law who farms our family farm, he said that, they don't have to fertilize even in Brazil. They don't even, there'll be a number of years before they even have to put fertilizer down. So obviously their input costs are going to be much less. And that was somewhat of the theme. They had a gentleman on there from China, actually, that spoke. And he was defending, the Chinese buying farmland in the United States. They had another gentleman talking about negotiating the trade deals. And of course, tariffs were, obviously that was a big topic, is the tariffs and how the impact, is affecting everyone. But generally speaking, there's spots like for protein, for beef. That's a big area that, a big growth area. And some of the markets that they talked about also was in Asia. I want to say, Vietnam, Cambodia, some of the Asian countries, Indonesia, where there's growth opportunities for for trade. So, yeah, it was mixed. Uh, but there's, again, there's always hope. There's going to be one of the main speakers just said, it's not going to be business as usual.
Right.
Um, and there's going to be changes, and everybody's got to look at their operations and make those changes.
I think when you look at the top producer in some of these larger conferences, one of the things you're going to hear is positivity, but a heavy dose of realism. And Jeff, you're exactly right. What we're seeing in the US right now is we have always been the low cost producer, top exporter to everybody else. But that is a big shift. Agriculture has grown and really revitalized in many other countries. And they're taking the technology that we use and they're able to apply it themselves. They don't need as much of our product anymore. And in fact, in some cases, we're the more expensive. So those changes, as you mentioned, in U.S. farm production are going to continue. And what are we going to do differently? Because we can't all raise corn and soybean forever. There may have to be some shifts in some of the things we do. If you were very ready for more risk, I don't want to say risk averse. If you are the opposite of that, if you are willing to take on a bunch of risk, boy, that cattle market is hot and going to be for quite some time. And there could really be some potential for a number of people. After we have a moment to take the news in, I want to return and talk with Jeff specifically about the panel he was on. And it was in regards to farmer mental health. And we're going to talk about what Jeff heard and was able to talk about, other people who joined him. In fact, David Sears from Minnewaca, North Dakota was on the panel as well, Jeff Winton with Rural Minds, and a couple of others. And we want to get those details from Jeff when we return. Thanks to Jeff Irwin for joining us in studio today. Jeff was down at the Top Producer Conference last week in Nashville, was able to be part of a panel discussion in regards to farmer mental health. So, Jeff, were you given some questions in advance to prepare for, or what were you kind of expecting as you got down to Nashville and ready to be part of a panel with quite an illustrious group?
Well, we had a prep session and just kind of went over general topics, what we were going to cover, but it was, there wasn't a lot of questions prepped ahead of time. So uh, Jeff Winton, the moderator, he had a laptop and there was QR codes at everybody's table. So there was questions that could be fielded, from the audience. It was one of the last sessions of the conference. So I believe there was around 400 in attendance, right in that neck of the woods. And so it was husbands and wives, families, in attendance there. But we did not have, really a lot of questions in prep. We had a little bit of a huddle, prior to going on and getting our mics on, and we went out there. And we each told our story. So there was Heidi, Heidi Vermeer Quist. So she's of the Vermeer equipment family.
Yes.
And she's a clinical psychologist, I believe, and a counselor. And then Jolie Foreman has been on 60 Minutes, and she gave quite a story about her family and at least, I believe, 2 suicides within that family. They farm. And then, of course, David Sears from Minnewacan. Fortunately, he didn't have anyone take their life, but his dad had dealt with the issue, and he himself at different times. So let's see. And then, of course, Jeff Winton, who was the moderator, he talked at length about their situation and why they formed Rural Minds, the nonprofit, which now a lot of us are going to join the speaking bureau and try to, spread that message across, the United States here.
I think that's a huge step. Jeff Winton is a dairy farmer from Western New York. His nephew died by suicide at a young age. He was in his 30s and left behind just a tremendous loss within their family. I mean, that any death in a family does that. And, in this situation, I got a call on Friday after the conference, by the way, and I was told how impactful your panel was. In fact, there was a room set up afterwards where counselors were present and could visit, and it was utilized by attendees to be able to talk, share, get resources that they could be using down the road. And so, Jeff, did you have folks approach you as well and want to thank you for your time and visit about having been there?
Yes. We went down into another room, and there were a number of folks that came down there. One gentleman from Iowa came down, and he and his partner had split, and his partner had taken his life. And it wasn't due to the split or anything, but for whatever reason, this happened. Well, now the partner's 27-year-old son has taken over the farm, and so he was looking for some counsel just on how do I work with this young kid and so forth. And I wouldn't say I had a lot of sage advice, but I tried to say just being there, in my opinion, just being there and being available probably was the most important thing as a resource and just support. But it was pretty graphic, and I'm not going to get into the details, but unfortunately his wife found him, and it was just bad. It was just a bad situation.
Go ahead, Jeff, please finish.
And there were a farmer from Minnesota, and when he walked in the room, I could just see it on his face. And he was an older farmer, and he's got 24 grandkids, so that kind of tells you how old he is. But he was wise enough to get help early on. So he knew what medications and counsel and so forth. So he was there just to share some of the, some of the resources that he had. So that was very enlightening. Another couple from Aberdeen came down. Now I don't know if he would have been suicidal necessarily, but his wife came down first and shared the situation, of farming together with three brothers, and I think he was the middle one, and he was wanting to get out of farming. It wasn't his passion, and he didn't go to college, so he feels stuck, and
Sure.
and so he wants to be an attorney of all things. And I said, he's 36. My gosh, he should have no problem. I've got a friend that's got a diesel business, and he decided to go back to school, and he's becoming an attorney as well.
Sure.
Wouldn't be my profession to pick, but but hats off to him. So I'm not sure where he's gonna go, but at least he was willing to come down and just talk.
I really think that that's what folks wanted to be able to do, to share their stories, to listen, to learn more. You yourself, as someone, again, who's had that situation in your family, your dad died by suicide. Were there some surprises? Were you happy to hear some of the resources that are available now than
Well,
when you were a young man and had to face that?
very much so. We had, at least we weren't, looking for anything, because we didn't know where to turn, to be honest with you. And I know my mom was trying to maybe get my dad to go to the doctor or whatever, and either that was a sign of weakness, or I'll tough it out, or that's going to cost money to go to the doctor, any of those things. But now, I mean, of course, we didn't have dial 9988. We didn't have the resources we have now. And I was just recently connected with, and I think I sent you her contact, Dr. Carolyn Holman from Lemoore. And she did her thesis on rural suicide, and she's interviewed, I believe, 34 farmers, and just picked their brains and just, wanted to understand what they go through. And so she's a resource. From the old days would be Dr. Val Farmer. And Dr. Val Farmer, his website is still up live. So if anyone wants to go there and access that, it's still up live. He's left it up live. I don't know if he's actively monitoring emails and all that. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, it's another resource. Of course, ruralminds.org is excellent. I've spent some time on there, and there's a lot of resources on there. Now it's it's based out of upstate New York, but there's resources there.
Yes. I can tell you've got some notes that you brought with as well. And are we hitting all the notes and the items that you wanted to make sure to share with the audience today after being at Top Producer? I don't want to leave anything unturned.
Well, I don't know how long you want me on here, but I had something, just kind of a summary for those who maybe didn't hear me back in September.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get into probably all the detail that I did then, but I wanted to read something here it was a summary I put together for the conference, just to hand out to whoever. And I'm now committed to writing a book, because I've told too many people, so I can't get out of it now.
Yep.
And the connection down in Wysocki, Roxanne
Hinkie.
Yeah,
Hinkie.
she just messaged me today wondering how things went, and so she's there as a resource as well to help write this. But I'll just read this if it's okay.
Sure.
So my dad was a farmer. Like many farmers, he carried more than anyone can see. Commodity prices were down, input costs were rising, Weather-damaged crops, debt felt suffocating. The pressure to provide and not be the one who lost the farm. It was overwhelming. He didn't talk much about it. He worked harder. He carried it alone. The silence was deadly. On February 3rd, 1984, on my 22nd birthday, my dad, 42 years old, took his life. One decision, one moment of despair, no chance to fix it later. The pain didn't end that day. It multiplied. The farm could continue, but our family was changed forever. Questions, no answers. Guilt, birthdays now carry a shadow. Grandchildren he never met, a hole that never fully heals. This year marks 42 years since that day. I'm now older, and I'm older than my dad ever got to be. Suicide doesn't end pain, it passes it on. And this is a truth that farmers need to hear. If farming becomes financially or mentally impossible, that is not failure. Farmers are problem solvers, mechanics, managers, project leaders, truck drivers, technicians, and mentors. There's other things that can be done for a career. Your family would rather see you change careers than attend your funeral. There is life beyond farming, and there's help, and there is help before it's too late. If you're unsure, where to go for help, there's all kinds of resources, and that's what we're here for. That's what the organizations that we're mentioning are here for. Before you make a permanent decision to end temporary pain, pause, think of your family, think of another chapter, think of help and hope, and reach within. So I'm writing this book to be completed, hopefully in 2026, to mark 42 years. He was 42 years. It's been 42 years. And it encourage and strengthen farm families, anyone struggling with depression, really. And the title right now, at least, is called A Farmer's Cry.
This sounds fabulous, Jeff.
And so I guess I'm becoming an advocate for this. It just kind of has been unfolding, and I guess you really have been the catalyst for that.
And Jeff, real quick, I mean, farmers are tough. We all know they're tough, and what they do is many people couldn't do the work that farmers do. Any signs, any glaring signs outside of what people normally think of? Any signs that we should be looking for? Obviously, depression, financial issues. Is there anything else that stands out that we should really keep an eye out for in the ag community?
Yeah, I mean, you've hit on those things. Obviously, the triggers, the way things are right now in the economy, farm economy. I wouldn't listen to the news too much, really, because that's not uplifting whatsoever. In Dad's case, he did really go into a shell. And if you see them, just not participating in things that they normally do or things that they enjoy. I mean, he used to snowmobile a lot, and there was just things that he just shut down and went into a shell.
And what if they say, a lot of they can be stubborn. I don't want to talk about it. I'm fine. They're not fine. I don't want to talk about it. What do you do then? You
try to keep them to keep talking. The worst thing you can do is just sweep it under the rug.
Right.
Talking is therapy. And in his case, too, when another sign, I guess, that we didn't realize, we thought it was a positive sign, and it can be, was he appeared to be getting better. He started getting out and talking to people, and he was coming around talking to his creditors. So he wasn't trying to run away from, the debt or anything like that. He was, it appeared that he was just trying to get organized and get moving forward. And so that was maybe, a week like that. We thought he was turning the corner. 2 days later, he's gone. And, some of the things that that I recall, not to get too graphic, but I mean, I talked to my neighbor that actually called me at the dealership that day. I haven't talked to her for many years. And her husband, who worked with my dad a lot, they farmed together. Um, she said that um, he, her husband, it took months for him to get over this. So it has impact. No man's an island. I mean, it had impact on the whole community. Mm-hmm. And so, again, obviously our family, some of the toughest things was a year later we had the auction sale because we chose to rent out the land, had the auction sale, and probably the toughest thing that I can remember, and I did videotape the whole thing, was watching or seeing my dad's tractor go out the yard for the last time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are things that
Oh,
you
yeah.
just you never forget. And
Jeff, you said you're committed to building this or to writing your book. I've already gotten messages from listeners who are waiting when it's ready. They're going to want us to announce it and let people know. So you keep telling people you're about to be committed to finishing. So Jeff, just thank you. I really, really appreciate the fact that you're always willing to come in and talk, share your story, share the signs of what you saw in your dad, and just for others to be aware.
glad to do it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeff. We appreciate you coming in.
You bet.
Appreciate you coming in. When we come back, we'll have a recap of the weather, go down all the warnings and advisories that are issued across the area, let you know how much snow we're expecting, all of that when we come back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. It's 46 degrees, mild weather out there right now. 40s across much of the area. We do have a few rain showers on radar right now, pulling in from the south. Some of this is aloft, not reaching the ground, but we are starting to see effects of that storm system riding out of the Rockies. And again, this is going to be in the form of all rain across the FM area here for this evening into tonight and even lasting into tomorrow morning before things start to change over to snow. Now, that won't be the case to our north. Now, along that Highway 2 corridor, it's going to start as rain as we head into the evening hours and into the overnight, but it will change to snow, mix with and change to snow to our north after midnight, and that rain-snow line will sink south. So thus, that's why we're expecting the heavier snowfall totals to be to our north, and the exact track of this storm is going to play a huge role in how much snow we get along the 94 corridor. Now, for sure, heaviest snow is going to be to our north, 6 to 12 inches with pockets of higher amounts. Now, along the 94 corridor, right now, the center of the low looks to be tracking through about Wahpeton to Ottertail. And it's under that area, the central area of low pressure. Those areas aren't going to see much precip at all. The trend has been to track this storm a little further south. And if it tracks even 30, 40 miles south of that Wahpeton to Ottertail line, we could expect much heavier snowfall totals in the FM area. If it tracks maybe 20 miles further north, then we could see maybe only an inch in the FM area. So a track of just 20 to 40 miles with this storm will make a huge difference in the 94 corridor area, especially the FM area, since we're going to be close to that area of low pressure. So this could be something that's a total busted forecast where we don't see much, or we could be looking at 4 to 6 inches with wind. So stay tuned. The trend has been for this system to track just a little further south each model run that comes in. So that's why we're thinking, the FM area and along the 94 corridor, it's going to be a very tricky forecast. But again, we're not expecting the precip to change over to snow until tomorrow morning about 7 a.m. So the morning commute tomorrow, wet to slushy. But as the day goes on tomorrow, conditions will go downhill quickly. The morning commute to our north is going to be an absolute mess, and that will continue all day with wind and blowing snow. So one of the bigger snow events of the year so far, and again, winter storm warnings along and north of Highway 2, winter weather advisories from Jamestown through the FM area along that 94 corridor. But again, we'll keep a very close eye on the track of this system. The heaviest snow to our north, but again, for the evening commute tonight, it's going to be all rain, and rain at least into the early part of the night as well. So for Bridgette, myself, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Don't go anywhere, though. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.